Hi, welcome back. Today's video might be boring for some and interesting for others, but that's just the way things go. As I always say, you don't need to like and subscribe, and if you don't like what you're watching, do what my dad always used to say and turn over and watch something else, because there's no need to make shit comments on my videos, because A, I don't care, and B, it's for the people that are interested. So today I'm going to talk about some of my photographs and how they came about, and if you find it interesting, please follow along. If you don't. It's as simple as that, really. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the skateboard park, and this was during lockdown, and I walked past this skateboard park every day of the week in the right light at the right time of day on a good morning with a little bit of frost on the ground with some nice beautiful warm light. It's beautiful. The graffiti, the cones in this image, I think make it a little bit special, but I was trying to think in my head every day of, I've seen millions and millions of photographs of people in masks and everything like that, and it was just boring. And I just wanted to sort of, I walk past this image every day of the week, almost 365 days a year. And because of lockdown, this skateboard park actually had people in it in the morning. But the best part of that, even though there's only a few people in this scene, I wanted to capture a little bit of the mist, a little bit of the frost on the ground. But the thing about it is on the hill, there's a bloke carried all his weights down in his car, and he's got an Olympic bar with two weights on the end, and on the top of the hill, just between the trees, you can see him doing squats. And it totally made it for me. It's a little tiny thing in the image. And I put that on Instagram, and someone put on Instagram, this doesn't do it justice just because of that one element. I shoot photographs for me personally. I do show them, and the reason I don't title them or write anything underneath them or long spiels about it is because my images are for the people to look and try and find why I've taken it. Now, a lot of stuff these days is all swipe, look, swipe, look, swipe, look, swipe. And to be honest with you, I do it as well. But great photographers, I look at their work and I try and work out why they've shot it, what was special to them. And I advise you guys, if you're looking at people's work, especially, the Martin Parrs and Peter Denches and everything else, look at their work, consider their work. I'm not going to go back to all the greats that you all know, Vivian Mayer and everything else, but look at her work, consider her work, look at her selfies, look at what she shot. She never shot any of her work for anybody except her. She was only discovered after her death. So I've always shot for me personally, and then some people enjoy my work, some people don't. Some of my best images people don't like, and some of my worst images people seem to love. I don't get that. It's a bit of a weird one. Moving on to my next one, shot in McDonald's in Liverpool. I've always had this Taylor Wessing prize with all these girls sitting at the desk, and I always wondered how this group of girls and this photographer won the Taylor Wessing prize with this image. And I've walked past this McDonald's year in, year out, and there's always people sitting at this particular table looking out the window. And it was Christmas, and there's snowflakes in the window, and just the way the women were sitting, and I just started getting back out again because I haven't shot much. And I just thought of the Taylor Wessing prize and thought of these women sitting there, and maybe the one hiding behind the bag, and a couple of them looking at me and talking about me. I stood there for quite a long while, and I stood there because I wanted them to see me there, but they didn't quite know what I was doing, holding a camera at waist height, looking through the viewfinder. I think they were trying to work out whether I was taking a photograph or not, and they were having a conversation. And the good thing about the conversation is, while they were having the conversation, they were looking at each other, then back at me, at each other, back at me. And I just had to wait my moment, take a couple of shots. I only shoot on single shot. I don't shoot multiple shots all at once. I just try and get a single shot and try and make it work. And if I'm not sure whether I've got it 100%, then I'll take 2 or 3 more just to make sure. But I do not shoot on burst. It's the worst thing ever. I cannot work with burst. Even when I used to shoot concerts and other stuff, I've never shot on burst because it drives me insane. I just want a couple of images to look at when I get home and decide which one's the best one. I don't want 50 to 60 to 100 of one thing. It would drive me insane looking. I've got nothing against anyone else doing it. I'm just explaining how I do it. This shot now was shot in Edinburgh, I think, or Glasgow. I can't remember. I think it might have been Glasgow. And I was out with a group of my friends, Sam and a few other friends, and we were walking around, and I just happened to glance over this bridge. As I glanced over this bridge, a bike went past with a great shadow and a bike, and I thought, oh, that looks really, really good. And then I thought, I wonder if there'll be another one. Stayed there for a few seconds, another bike came, got the shot. After that, not another bike came for absolutely ages. I just loved the way the light fell on it, the shadow from the bike and the dark shadows across the wall and the way all the lines come together. I must just say all these photographs that I've got on here today are all cropped to 16:9 for this video, so they work well in the video. Not only did they crop to 16:9 for the video, but some of them may or may not work on video. And I've taken very, very small JPEGs to put on here just to make it work for me. And there's one that was taken with a really, really old phone that's a bit grainy. And I must blow that up one day to see what it looks like, but we'll come to that in a minute. So this one, you've probably seen it if you've ever watched any of my videos. It was shot by Callum in London on Millennium Bridge, put some pools in the background. Yes, of course, I was doing a street photography video, so I was being shot by a videographer. I was trying to obviously capture the girl. I wanted the seagull in the frames, with poles in the frames, some other people in the frames who had some interest, but obviously she's my main subject. The hardest thing in the world is I kept shooting it and Callum kept saying, no, it didn't work for the video. And I thought, oh, bloody hell. So I had to go back and do it again. And this was probably about the 5th time I'd actually photographed this seagull and this girl. The girl's look is not quite what you think it is. The girl's look is probably thinking, mate, are you going to hurry up and take the seagull picture and piss off so I can take it? Because it was a bit repetitive. But in the end, it turned out to be a great photograph, and I learned a lot from that. And if I'm ever being videoed again, I'm going to take advantage of the fact I'm being videoed to grab a shot like that again. This image is very interesting. It's using Guston's theory, and that is to keep the viewer looking longer, create more interest. Now you can see there's a guy here and he's smiling and he's looking at a shadow on the other side of the glass. You can't see who the other subject is. This creates more interest for those that want to look and don't just swipe. And the whole idea of photography these days really is to get someone to look just a little bit longer at your work. And so by using Guston's theory, I've created, most people look at this and think, isn't it clever, or isn't it that? It's up to you. Some people may just look at it and think it's shit and swipe on. I think if you create something more though, for people to look more, it does create more interest, but it's almost interesting for me as well. Victoria's Secret. How interesting this. The story here and the reason I shot it, and it's in colour, is there's an element of pink in his bag. There is, on a wider image that you can see quite a lot more to this, but as I say, they're all cropped 16:9. The whole idea of me shooting it like this was to create the Victoria's secret, i.e. is she Victoria, is it her secret? And then the hands together and the red nail varnish pulls it all together for me. And also are they together? Are they in a relationship? Is it a bit of a secret relationship? Does no one know about it? She just bought some lingerie for this relationship. So the whole Victoria's Secret story comes into this image for me, and in colour, and I think it works really, really well in colour. Obviously black and white is a storytelling medium, but when you've got a strong story in colour and all the colours pull it together, I think it really, really works well. So this image was shot for Fujifilm with the XPro2. It was actually for the XPro2 campaign. It was shot while I was out and about with the camera before anyone knew it was actually released. And I had been walking around trying to get something with this camera. I had an idea of a theme in my head, but I was actually running out of time to get an image back to Fujifilm. It was driving me nuts. No one could see the camera. I had to try and find something. I had a sort of a rainy theme in my head, but in the end, I defaulted back to Liverpool One Stairs because I always managed to get something that works well. And I thought Liverpool One Stairs would work well with the Fujifilm theme for that year and the XPro2 images going in the books and catalogues for the camera. So this is the image I shot. Went back. I always look for something interesting on the escalator, and I've always got something. I did a whole series of images on Liverpool One escalators, and they all come out really, really well. Some have been copied to death and everything else, but I just find that funny. That's a video for another day. But I wasn't expecting this. I stood there for probably an hour, and then suddenly this couple come along and she kissed him, and it just made it for me. Everyone else who's coming down the other side, they're hardly part of the shot. I tried to angle them in the right place on the escalators to get the shot, and I think the green and the grey and everything comes together with her nice hat on and a nice red bag which pulls your eye to them, and that's one of the main reasons I shot that. It's been in Fujifilm catalogues and magazines, and I quite like it now. I didn't overly like it at the time because it was like a second-class shot from what I wanted to get, but sometimes those are the ones that work out in the end. The halo one, if you follow me and you know what I do, the halo one was part of my reflection selfie project. It's sort of getting my own shadow in there wasn't that difficult, but I also didn't want her to see me while I was doing it. Luckily, she was engrossed in her phone, so I could position myself to try and get myself in the shot. And I was shooting from here basically, and I was trying to line my head up. And if you try and do it from up here, actually my head goes down. So I had to lower my camera down until I got to the point where I actually see my own reflection before I could take the shot. It's been seen. People seem to like it. I quite like it. It's a reminder of me of a day in London, and I know exactly where that window is now, and trust me, there's posters and all sorts in there now. So every time I go back, I can't get that shot again, which is what I said in one of my shorts earlier. The beauty of street photography is you can get unique shots that no one can copy. That's one of the things I love about street photography, is that one thing that you can get beautiful shots that no one can copy. And it's not like landscape photography where you just go and put three tripod legs in the ground to go and shoot that same image over and over again. It's been done a million times. There's Buccelleti's Moor in Glencoe. I think it's sad. Everyone pulls up there now, gets out of their car, tramples all over the ground, and all they're concentrating on is getting this shot that everyone else has got. The ground's wrecked. It never used to be. You used to just be able to walk up to the stream and take some photographs. Now, the ground goes like that, where everyone's destroyed all the peat and the bracken and everything else, and it's almost like a car park of debris from sweet wrappers and rubbish, and it's just disgusting. And that's one of the things I've got against landscape photographers putting where they take their shots from. You go to some places now, you can get there at 5 o'clock in the morning and there's crowds and crowds of people because it's all become Instagram famous and social media famous and photography famous. That's the beauty of street photography. You can just go out and get something unique every single day, and it makes so much of a difference. So this one, I think this one was shot in Chester, and obviously this one's another one on my reflection selfie project. And you can see the two people there, typical Saturday afternoon shopping. He's bored to hell. She seems to be bored to hell. She's looking out the window, possibly wishing she had a different husband. I don't know what goes through people's heads. If these are you people, sorry, because you're probably having a nice day. And I had to line my reflection up, and my reflection wasn't working face on. So I turned my head sideways, press the shutter button with my thumb. And that's the image, and that's the way it's come out. There's a little bit lacking over onto the left, but there is someone in the frame. I don't like to leave too much negative space without some form of interest in it, but this just worked because of the way these people were. But also remember, it's 16:9, it wouldn't normally be displayed like this. You've probably all seen this one. This was shot in Manchester, in Costa Window. Very difficult for me to get it. The really weird thing is, the girl in the shot was staring at something that had happened. I can't remember what. I do remember hearing a noise behind me, and she looked up because the door was open and she was staring. I took advantage of the fact she was staring to move in and shoot from waist height to get my reflection in the frame again. Some people ask me, what do I focus on? I use autofocus, and it's probably focused on the wooden part in front of her and me. As long as it's f4 or f8, everything's going to be fine. This is actually shot at f8. So I've got her and myself in the frame, and we're reasonably sharp, and it works really, really well. The bit of sky over on the right-hand side is a bit of negative space, but I sort of think it works because I'm looking into it. A lot of people have other opinions, and I don't mind hearing your opinions below. Tell me what you think, but it works for me, and the reflections of all of the buildings in the background make a great difference. In fact, some of the work I've done, which I've not got here today, some of the reflections in the background actually make the image even more interesting than what it is. So this probably won't come out brilliant on YouTube, but this was shot, and it's timeless. So this was shot on an Apple iPhone 5S at f2. The story goes, I just finished doing a workshop. My actual camera is at the bottom of my rucksack. I don't know why, it just happened to be that way. This is at Crew Station. I happened to walk past, see this huge man, you can't get the size of him in this image, sitting down, doing the paper with what I thought was a beer in his hand at first. And it could have been shot anywhere in the world, in a pub, anywhere at all. And I thought, this is really good. I'll grab a shot with my iPhone, and then I'll go back, dig my camera out, come back and photograph it properly. His train came in. By the time I got my camera and got back, he was actually boarding the train. He actually looked really good on the platform because he was huge and he looks like something out of Hogwarts. And I thought, God, I wish I'd had my camera around my neck. So it's one of my regrets for not carrying my main camera, but it's also become a photograph I love because I shot it on an iPhone and you know, an older iPhone as well. And it really, really works. It may not be able to be shown up poster size, but I just love it because it's timeless. He could be in a pub, a cafe, anything. And anyone that looks at it and looks at it quickly will make a decision about where he is. And a lot of people don't realise he's actually got a coffee cup on the table and not a pint of beer. It takes a while for people. Some people have to look and say, oh, that guy with the Guinness on the table. It's very interesting how many people look and don't look at it properly. So the photograph of this girl was taken in Liverpool, in Bold Street, in Caf Nero. And I'd just been teaching a workshop. I had my camera around my neck and I said, should we go and get a coffee? So as we went to go in a coffee, I noticed this girl smile at me. I had my camera around my neck, you know, most of the time. As I say, I just had it in my rucksack that time. But so on this workshop, I had a camera around my neck, and I just said to everyone, never put your cameras away. You never know what you're going to see. Walked in, she smiled at me. I took the shot. We carried on in. Now, the funny thing about the image is, on my workshops, I tell people not to take photographs of kids and homeless people and everything else. And that's for many, many reasons. When you're teaching workshops, it's just what you don't want people to do. And I'm not going to go into the idiosyncrasies of all that. But anyway, when I got inside, someone said, did you see that girl smile at you? I said, of course I did. I got the shot. And he went, you got the shot? I said, yeah, I took a photograph of it. And then they didn't believe me. So when we sat down to have a coffee, I showed them the shot on the back of the camera. And they were all quite shocked that I got it. Because it was such a quick, you know, fractions of a second a moment. But that's what a photograph taken in a fraction of a second. However, she's very young. She doesn't look young in this, and her mum come along and off they went. So typically, I've just spent all day telling these people not to shoot young girls, etc., because it causes problems. But in the spur of the moment, someone smiles, you take a photograph, you don't know how old they are. It doesn't matter. It's always made a really, really good image to me. So that's just a look, a few of my images. One of the things I was talking about this morning on my shorts is going out before my stroke, photographing really, really, really fast, camera around my neck, camera in my hand, camera to my eye, looking at a rear viewfinder. I used to be able to do it really, really quickly. I'd walk around town, do 20,000 steps, go to London, 20,000 steps, and get a couple of shots from the day. Do you know what I mean? I'd shoot all day and I'd get a couple of shots that I was happy with. They weren't the best images in the world. It would take me a year to get good images. And 5 years to get enough for an exhibition and a book. It's just the way it is. I don't expect to go out and get fantastic images every time I go out and shoot. But those moments when you do go out and get an image that works perfectly for you, that looks great, is appeasing to the people that look at it, it's brilliant. It's an amazing feeling. Since my stroke, things have changed. I'm not as fast as I was. I'm not getting used to being out in public like I used to be. And I'm slowly getting back to it. And the YouTube stuff helping. Being videoed doing the YouTube stuff helps me. I'm now shooting in a slightly different way, and you have to adapt and evolve to your given situations, the town and the city you're in, and also, like with brain damage, the problems you have to deal with on a daily basis. That's a little insight to about 11, 12 of my images. A bit of a talky heads video that some people don't like, talking about my images, but I just thought I'd give you a bit of insight into how they came about, how I shot them, what I like about them. I was going to drop some images in that I don't like too much, but I've probably deleted most of those. There's a couple I can talk about, but I'll save that for another video. So thanks for watching. See you on the next video.